Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Learn IT with Naval. I hope you all are enjoying and celebrating the Diwali month and your spirits are already high. I'll help you with the same thing by keeping you motivated to learn more, and we'll show you today how we can create external switches in Hyper-V environment. In our previous videos, we have learned how we create private switch and internal switch in Hyper-V Manager. And now it's turn for the external switches, which are the most used in production environments because all the servers in our production environments may or may not require internet access, but they are generally connected with external switches if there is no requirement for any isolated network. So today we are going to learn all about that, and we will see how exactly it is set up in a real-time world. So let's get started. First, let's create a diagram of the virtual machines, Hyper-V host, and the external switch that we are going to create in our environment today. All right, so let's say this is our Hyper-V host. All right, and this is one of our virtual machines. This is our second virtual machine. Okay, all these virtual machines would have network adapters attached to it. Right now we have one network adapter on each of the virtual machines. Similar way, we have the physical adapter on our physical Hyper-V host. Now we need to create the external switch. So let's say this is our external switch. Okay, so we have already discussed in our previous videos that whenever we create an internal switch and an external switch, we get a management operating system virtual adapter created in our network connections. So let's say this is our management OS virtual adapter. Now, how the communication should work in case of external switch, all these virtual machines should be able to communicate with each other, and these virtual machines should be able to communicate to our Hyper-V host, and then our Hyper-V host should be able to communicate to the internet and external networks. So these virtual network adapters generally connect to this virtual adapter that gets created on our management operating system or on our Hyper-V host. And then this adapter connects to the physical adapter. Now this physical adapter could be a dedicated one, or if we have only single physical adapter on our Hyper-V host, then that management operating system virtual adapter will share the connection with physical adapter. Similar way, this virtual machine will also communicate with this virtual adapter, and then this will communicate with Hyper-V host. All right, and here it is. Okay, and then from here, this physical adapter, if it has access to external uh, networks, like if it is connected within the LAN to other LAN networks, then definitely your traffic will go outside your internal network. All right, so this is how we are going to make the communication happen with external switch. Now let's go to Hyper-V Manager and go to Virtual Switch Manager. We have already seen this wizard where we can create virtual machine virtual switches. So we need to select external and click on virtual switch. Now before creating an external switch, let me show you one thing which is very important to understand. Let's go to network connections by ncpa.cpl. So we need to notice that right now the physical adapter that we are using for internet access on our physical computer is this Wi-Fi adapter. Right now, I have not connected an Ethernet cable to this laptop. If there is a Ethernet cable connected, then you will definitely get this Ethernet network adapter enabled. Right now, it's disabled or it's in not connected state because the Ethernet cable is not connected. So basically, we have the Wi-Fi as our physical adapter right now, and this Wi-Fi is showing green leaf on it because my laptop is connected with green leaf Wi-Fi internet access. And other than that, right now you see Bluetooth, Ethernet, and then this is the default switch, this is internal, this is internal, this is internal, and this is also an internal switch. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to create the external switch now, and we will notice the difference that comes up here. So let's go in here and click on external switch, click create external switch, and let's give it name V external switch 1. All right. And make sure that you have selected the physical adapter in this drop down. Now, there could be situations where you have a single network adapter on your Hyper-V host, or if you have multiple adapters on your Hyper-V host. If you have a single physical adapter, then you will definitely need to share that physical adapter with your management operating system virtual adapter that will be created after you create this external switch. But if you have more than one physical adapter, so you can definitely use a dedicated adapter for this particular virtual adapter, and your management operating system can use a different dedicated adapter. So make a note of this difference, that whenever you have a single adapter on your physical host, then you will need to share the connection with your virtual adapter of external switch, so that your virtual machines can access internet using that physical adapter. But if you have multiple network adapters, then you can use a dedicated adapter for your virtual adapter and use a dedicated adapter for your management operating system. So that's how this should work. So right now we will select dual band wireless network because that's what we are using, and we only have a single adapter on our computer. And if you choose this option, allow management operating system to share this network adapter, now you will need to choose this option if you only have a single adapter on your physical host. If you do not select this and you only have a single adapter on your physical host, your virtual machines will not be able to communicate with internet. So if you select this and only have one physical adapter, then your management operating system virtual adapter will be mapped with your physical adapter of your Hyper-V host. So right now we will see that our virtual adapter that will be created after external switch will be mapped with this wireless network connection. And if you have more than one physical adapters, then you do not have to choose or select this option, because this is only eligible or available for the physical adapters, for only one physical adapter in your Hyper-V host, I must say. All right, so right now, because we only have one adapter, so we will just check this box, make sure the wireless is selected in here, and then click apply. You will get this notice that your network will get disrupted once you click on yes. So we need to click on yes for that, because we are going to map our Hyper-V host physical adapter with our virtual adapter. All right, so we have clicked on yes and clicked on apply changes, and now click OK. All right, now you must see the difference here. Earlier, we only had the Wi-Fi in here with green leaf on it. Now we have got a network bridge created, and we have got a V external switch 1 virtual adapter created on our Hyper-V host. So this will be called your management operating system virtual adapter. Okay, and this is your physical adapter, which is now bridged. That means it is now mapped with your external switch virtual adapter. So now you can see that this external switch virtual adapter is showing green leaf on it. That means that it is mapped with the Wi-Fi adapter. And how both of these are getting mapped with each other? That is with the help of this network bridge. So whenever we create an external switch in Hyper-V, we will get a network bridge created, which will map a physical adapter with our virtual adapter, so that the communication can happen with the external networks as well. Now, let's check one more thing here. So when we talked about this diagram, we did not talk about the IP addressing or the network that we would be using for these virtual machines and this Hyper-V host. That is because When we create an external switch, we generally use DHCP in order to get the IP addresses for our virtual machines and our Hyper-V host. So let's first check that when we get this virtual adapter created here, what is the IP address that is getting. So first let's check whether it is set up for static or whether it's set up for dynamic. So let's go to IPv4, and you can see that right now it is set to obtain an IP address automatically and obtain DNS server address automatically. Now how this will happen? So first let's go to CMD to check what IP address this is getting. Ipconfig. All right, so we need to check for V external switch 1. All right, so right now it is getting 192.168.1.29. Now, another important thing to notice here is that now you will no longer see your Wi-Fi network adapter with an IP address when you do IP config. Why? Because this Wi-Fi adapter has been mapped to this virtual external switch. So you will only see this vexternal switch 1 or the switch that you create in command prompt when you run ipconfig. So we are getting the same thing here. All right, and if you go up, you will see that we do not have any Wi-Fi adapter listed in this output. So that clears that whenever we create an external switch, our physical adapter will be mapped with our virtual adapter, and the IP address of our physical adapter will be given to our virtual adapter. Now, how DHCP is working here is, let's do ipconfig/all, and let's go to the properties of our external switch. So this is our V external switch 1. So in here you will notice that it is showing the description as Hyper-V virtual Ethernet adapter, which it is, and this is the physical address, the MAC address that it got, and it has DHCP enabled, and this is the IP address that it has received from DHCP, and it's the subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and this is the default gateway. Now this default gateway address is the IP address of our router, because when we create an external switch and when we map it with the external, or let's say physical adapter, then that virtual adapter will use the default gateway which our physical adapter is using. So because right now my Wi-Fi is connected from my router, and my router is acting as a default gateway for my Wi-Fi connection, so that's why it's showing my default gateway as 192.168.1.1. If you go to a browser and type in this IP address, you will see that it's taking me to my router login page. That clears that this is our default gateway. So let's go back to command prompt, and our DHCP server is also showing the same IP address. That means our router is acting as our DHCP server. So because we do not have an internal DHCP server in our environment right now, but when we create an external switch and when we map it with a physical adapter, so it uses the same DHCP server that the physical adapter was connected to. So because my Wi-Fi was using the DHCP server as my router and it was receiving the IP address from my router, so the same thing will be applied for our virtual adapter as well. And all of our virtual machines, they will also receive the IP address from the same DHCP server from the same router. So always make sure that whenever you create an external switch, if you do not have an internal DHCP server, or if you do not specify an internal DHCP server address, your virtual adapter will use the DHCP as your router, and your virtual machines will also receive the IP address from your router as well. So now, next thing we want to make sure is that what IP address our virtual machines would be getting. It should be of the same range of our 192.168.1.0 network, so that they all could communicate. And we will not set the IP address statically here. We will see that how IP address is getting assigned to our virtual machines. So now let's go to our virtual machine. Let's go to TG client 1 first. Also connect TGSVR 2019. Okay, looks like I typed it wrong. It's logging in. It's already logged in actually. So let's go to TG client 1 and type the password for this. Okay. Now let's go to the one which has already logged in. Okay, let's close this, and close this. Let's open CMD straight away. And let's type ipconfig. Let's first go to ncpa.cpl to check that how it is set up for the internet access or for IP address. Let's right click on it. Let's click properties and IP4. Now you will notice that it is set up for the static IP addressing right now. So we need to change it to the dynamic IP addressing. So let's select obtain an IP address automatically so that our virtual machine gets the IP address from our DHCP. Now let's see what IP address it has received from DHCP. Let's hit OK and minimize this. And we go to ipconfig. Okay, now you can see that it is getting 169.254.218.56. Let's see why is it getting this IP. Did we assign the external switch to our virtual machines? Let's verify that. So let's first start this machine. Let's go to this virtual machine, go to settings, and let's go to network adapter. And you can see right now this virtual machine has V internal switch to virtual switch assigned to it. So that means that it is not connected to the external switch till now, and that is why it is getting the APIPA address. So that's what I wanted to show you guys, that when a virtual machine is not connected to any network, in that case it receives the APIPA IP address, and that is of 169.254 range. All right, so to be able to assign or attach this virtual machine's virtual adapter to external switch, we'll need to select the external switch from this drop down. So let's select V external switch 1 and hit apply and then hit OK. Let's do the same thing for the TG client 1 as well. Let's go to network adapter, and right now it's V internal switch 2. So let's change it to V external switch 1, hit apply and OK. All right, now let's go back to our server TGSVR 2019. All right, now let's see what IP address we have received for this virtual machine as we have used the dynamic IP addressing option. So we can see that 192.168.1.31 is the IP address that is assigned to this virtual machine from the DHCP server. And our DHCP server is currently a router which is acting as a DHCP. And this is the default gateway that this virtual machine is assigned, and the default gateway is also our router. Okay, now next thing we need to make sure that this machine should have internet access, because once we assign or attach a virtual machine with external switch, then that virtual machine should be able to access internet and the external networks. So we can see that it's showing network access. And let's also open a browser and try to open google.com and see if it opens it or not. There you go. We have Google open, and let's try to open anything else. Okay, there we go. So that means internet is working on our virtual machine. Next thing we need to verify is the connectivity between the virtual machines and from the virtual machines to the Hyper-V host. So let's try to ping a Hyper-V host from this virtual machine. First, let's find out what is the IP address of our virtual machine or Hyper-V host. So okay. So here is the IP address of our Hyper-V host. Let's do ipconfig one more time just to make sure that it's still the same. Okay, yep, it's still the same, 192.168.1.29. So let's try to ping this IP from here, dot 1.29, and we can see that our virtual machine is able to ping our Hyper-V host. So that's working, and the communication that should work with the Hyper-V external switch is working in our case. Right now, let's go back to our other virtual machine, TG Client 1, and make sure that it is also assigned the IP address from the same range, which is 192.168.1.0 network. Let's go to properties and make sure that it is selected for dynamic IP addressing. Right now, it's assigned the static IP address from our previous video, and let's click this one, obtain an IP address automatically, and do the same. All right, let's hit OK, and then OK once again, and let's see if it is able to access internet. Right now it's showing enabled here, and it's currently identifying, and let's make sure that which IP address this virtual machine has received. So let's open CMD and do ipconfig, and there we go. This virtual machine has got the IP address 192.168.1.32. So this is the IP address which is it has received from the DHCP server, and you can see here that now it has changed to internet access. And let's open a browser and make sure that we are able to open any website. There we go. Google is opening, so that means our internet is working on this virtual machine. Now let's try to ping our Hyper-V host from this VM. Ping 192.168.1.29 is the IP for our Hyper-V host. And we can see that this virtual machine is able to ping our Hyper-V host as well. Now let's ping the other virtual machine, 192.168.1.39, I believe was the IP address. Let's see. Nope, looks like we got it wrong. Let's verify the IP address one more time. Okay, it is 1.31. So let's go back to TG client 1 and change it to 1.31, and there we go. This has started pinging that virtual machine. So our communication between the virtual machine is working absolutely fine. The communication between the virtual machine and Hyper-V host is working absolutely fine. The communication between virtual machine and internet or to the net in external networks is working absolutely fine. So that means our external switch is working properly with our Hyper-V host and our virtual machines. So that's how you can configure an external switch in your Hyper-V environment whenever you want to set up a Hyper-V environment for any of your client or in your organization. All these things, you need to make sure that you have got the correct IP addressing configured already, and you have got your DHCP and DNS configured properly. If you have an internal DHCP or DNS server, then you can definitely use those. Or if you have your router acting as a DHCP server or your firewall acting as a DHCP server, you can use that as well with your external switch. We will have another separate video for DHCP and DNS concepts, where we will learn that how exactly we can configure DHCP role and DNS role on a server and in a network, so that our internal machines or internal networks can use DHCP and DNS servers, so that we don't have to use the public IP addresses in case of DNS or our router as a DHCP. So I believe that's it for today, and I hope you were able to understand all the concepts related to external switch. I have made it pretty simple, that how you can configure the adapters, how you can um, attach the network adapters to your virtual machines, and how you can make the communication happen between your VMs, internet access, and to the external networks. So let's wrap up today's video and meet in our next video. Till then, thank you everyone. Bye bye. Take care. Thank you everyone for watching the video. I hope you understood the concepts that I explained here. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment. If you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.